to watch me, I'm going to do the countdown here. Let me grab my bell also. Keep in mind, that's the noise. Okay, here we go.
Put that long day behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open. You'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
Okay, and welcome to the Tavern, everybody. I am your host, Travis Sivart, author extraordinaire, who is just barely scraping by paying his Netflix bills with all the money he earns from writing. On that, tonight's topic is going to be how pancakes saved the world, and we'll get into that in a little bit. First, I want to let folks know a couple of things. We are an adult channel with adult language, adult podcast. It's adult. We're going to say words, and we got a Brit with us. So not only are we going to say fuck, but there's also a 90% chance that you might hear he's horrible at fucking cues. Still nothing. Never mind. You might not hear him. I don't know.
Say your word, Kevin.
There's only a 90% chance.
Kevin, by the way, I did purchase the shirt that says C is not just for cookie. So, okay, let me finish the disclaimer. For everybody in chat, it is subscriber-only chat. That's because you support the channel, so you get to be here and interact on the podcast recordings. We may not respond to everything in chat. We're going to respond to the most relevant or entertaining bits, so don't take it personal. If you are not relevant or entertaining, it's all your own fault. Also, for the folks listening to the podcast, we do have a live in-chat audience who is with us right now as we're recording. If you want to be a part of that, you can find us at twitch.tv/Travis Tavern Talk and hang out with us live as we record. And also, anybody who wants to email, you can email talkofthetavernshow@gmail.com. Okay, I think I covered all that. I already introduced myself. My vices tonight, I don't think I'm going to smoke a pipe, but I do have a nice Henry McKenna bourbon. Yeah, entertaining at least. Let's introduce the other two. We're going to introduce our long-lost cousin. Oh, by the way, for chat, let us know what your vices are. There we go, while we're introducing ourselves. Kevin, who are you? Why are you in my living room?
I feel more like an estranged, long-lost third cousin than a direct relation. Why am I in your living room? Because I'm a bit like a stain on old furniture. I'm very difficult to get rid of, no matter how hard you scrub me. What it prompts me to turn up tonight, you needed somebody who isn't offended by you two, which left you with a very short list. I am Kevin. I am a Brit. I apologise for this in advance because we apologise for shit. It's what we do. This evening, my vices will include strong back coffee because it's Sparrow's 5 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. Although imminently, because I've got to talk to Travis, I'll probably be switching to strong alcohol, which this evening will probably be a tasty little Malbec.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't crack a bottle of red wine open at 2 o'clock in the morning? And I'll be smoking hand-rolled drum tobacco tonight. And with that drum roll, see what I did there? Please, Andrea, take it away.
Hi everybody, Andrea Lachat here. My vice is Fanta, the wee little cans of orange soda, and I have cats here. That's it for me. I'm just here ready to talk about pancakes.
Hey, Andrea, did you know at one point in time they were actually going to make Fanta soda with extra vitamin C because it was an orange-based drink and they wanted to do that? But when they actually presented it to their PR department, they said, That wouldn't be a good fantasy.
But okay.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, by the way, Brent nailed it. Says that her vice is a little box. Oh, wait, there's more. A little box of raisins and a rum bottle that's full of water. Oh, and Jonathan says his vice is homemade wine. It's he wines at home all the damn time. It's horrible.
I'm still going back to the rum bottle full of water. Why would you do that to yourself?
Because the rum is in the glass she's drinking. Duh.
You would hope. Yeah. I mean, if you have a bottle that looks like it's full of rum and then every time you drink it, it's water. I mean, who would do that to themselves?
Not an Irishman. Okay.
I don't know.
So let's raise our glass. Let's get a quote here to raise our glass to. We're going to ask Cogsley to supply us with a random quote from a previous show or people we like. So, thank you, Cogsley. Cogsley says, outside of a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. Groucho Marx. Okay, so now the topic tonight being how pancakes save the world. We're going to talk about. It's do I have a clinking noise here? We're going to talk about how pancakes have influenced the world. We're going to talk about, well, all kinds of things, wherever it goes. It might be our favorite pancake restaurants or dishes or types of pancakes. Here's a fun fact. Did you know they have found remnants of pancake-like materials in a primitive man from, well, I don't know if it's that primitive, 5,300 years ago. They have found remnants of pancakes in the remains of a corpse. Somebody, I think his name is like Otik, the caveman or something.
Mm-hmm.
Otlik.
I have a question.
Yes.
Exactly where in him did they find the pancake?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because surprisingly, it was in his left kidney.
And his name was Otzi the Iceman. It was einkorn wheat in an early sort of flat bread form. But we'll get more to that.
Otzi, am I the only person thinking Otzi the Iceman sounds like a mafia name?
It really does, doesn't it? Maybe they found him in Italy. Who knows? So
maybe he's a cleaner.
Could be.
OxyCleaner.
It's and Jonathan asks, pancake or flapjack? We will get to that at some point in time. But first, before we go into all that, I'm going to flip this over to Kevin and let him kind of lead the way into the pancake world for us, since he is a professional pancake
It may sound like
artiste.
this is the point where I turn around and go, little do you know it, but I've been an international pancake smuggler for the last 30 years. Sit back now as I regale you with the wild and hilarious stories of pancake smuggling through the Congo. So those of you who have never seen me before, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, those of you who know me from the show will know that before I moved into being a hotel manager, I was a professional chef for 22 years, so I've banged up the odd batch of pancakes or two. Pancake or flapjack, I'm going to throw that back at you in a bit, because phraseology is a bit of a weird thing with pancakes. So for a start, there's a very different divide between what my brain automatically thinks of when I say pancake and what you think of. So the big difference to Europeans, a pancake is like a French crepe. So there's no rising agent like bicarbonate of soda or baking powder or anything in it. So it's a much flatter, thinner finished product. It's unleavened. Whereas obviously Americans, you're used to a rising agent, a thicker, fatter pancake, holds its shape much better. Pancake is a bit of a weird word. We've had plenty of examples of this, as you two will know from discussions we've had on other foods before, that language can be a surprisingly curious barrier when it comes to establishing exactly what the hell it is you're both talking about, either sides of the Atlantic. Yeah, Travis.
When you're done, I'll give some of the origins and what the differences are.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've got all kinds of variants on a theme, if you like. You know, I mean, you have Russian versions, you have German versions. We spoke briefly about blinis, which are a German, version of pancake. Essentially, it's a bit like it's one of those dishes. The pancake. The reason it's been around for so long is it's a leftovers dish. It's a way of using up rich and or expensive ingredients that have a use by date that will spoil milk, eggs, dairy products that have a finite shelf life into something that can be malleable and transformable into different flavors, so it can be used in a multiple variety of different contexts. It can be made sweet, it can be made savory. It turns those perishable dairy products into a product that can be stored and dried and given essentially longer longevity in its cooked form than it is in the raw ingredients form. So it was a way of using up and preventing food wastage.
A yummy way.
It is yummy. And some cultures have actually used curdled milk and other such things when making their pancakes. Andrea, did you have some thoughts to open up about pancakes?
Yes. I have questions. Kevin, when as a pancake smuggler, where exactly were you hiding them?
I used to. It depends entirely on the size of the pancake. I mean, these smaller American pancakes are easily concealed between the pages of Jehovah's Witness Bibles, which I used to ship in cases of 100 because people tend to just scare quite over things like that. The larger flattened crepes are more difficult, so we used to hide those in rolled up works of art. The Mona Lisa alone was capable of smuggling 32 flat crepes, including Nutella.
And I think that's what stole her eyebrows. Um, See, when you say pancakes and flapjacks, pancake is a guinea pig on Instagram, and flapjack is a bunny. So
Well,
those
there you
are
go.
my thoughts.
For any of you who are wondering about the difference between a flapjack and a pancake, Andrea's nailed it.
There you go. And you can follow them on Instagram. They are adorable.
They are the what?
What's your thought?
Oh, adorable.
They're adorable.
What?
They're so cute.
What's whose thought?
Yours.
On guinea pigs?
Pancakes and flapjacks.
Well, pancakes is an American term. Flapjacks is kind of more of a Canadian term. Whereas hotcakes are actually a Mexican term. But to give a little bit, I'm going to go a little bit into the history here. I did do a little bit of research on this because, pancakes, it's worth it. And so apparently pancakes have been around for, and I'm trying to remember if the Otlick, the Iceman, or whatever his name was, Otzi, there we go. I found one website that gave the date, and it was 5300, but I don't know if that's 5300 BC or 5300 years ago, which would only put it at 3300 BC.
No, he's Ice Age, so it'd be BC.
Well, I mean, 5000 BC, we still had cultures with structures in early Egypt was starting to develop. There was places in Asia, China, etc. But anyhow, doesn't matter if they weren't eating pancakes. But it was about the 15th century when pancakes came to kind of be named, as well as grew in popularity. And there is pancakes made in different ways in like 50 or 60 different countries. And there, as Kevin was pointing out, there's pancakes of kind of every different sort and type and flavor. I think.
What's the Russian pancake?
What's what?
What's the Russian pancake called?
Blins.
I thought that was German.
It's blini.
No, that's blini, which has got a silent S on the end, so it's spelt blinis, but it's pronounced blini.
It's like penis.
Yeah. My good friend Dennis Pennis.
Okay, here's a couple quick dates. Okay, you take me out to dinner, and you might get... No, wrong kind.
Pancake dinner.
600 BC, first recorded mention of pancake, ancient Greece, a poet who described warm pancakes in one of his writings. 1100, Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day, becomes the traditional way to use up dairy products before Lent, and pancake breakfast is born. 1445, the year that villagers in Olney, Buckinghamshire, UK started using their famous pancake race.
What?
It's still going on.
And each
Well,
year,
not at the moment because of COVID, but
that's because the prize each year, the winner receives a smooch from the church bell ringer.
Yeah, they do. He's hot.
1700s, before baking soda, chefs used fresh snow, which contains ammonia, to make pancakes light and fluffy. 1800s, milk and occasionally cream became preferred liquids for pancakes. Before then, brandy and wine had been just as common. Flapjack. Go ahead.
Oh, you just said about brandy and wine. So the flat European crepe, especially, I mean, you crepe Suzette was the famous one that was all over the place in restaurants in the 80s when you used to get the flamboyant waiters flambeing the crepes at the table for dessert for the showmanship. But it's a very common thing to use alcohol, especially spirits, as the base for like a liquor. So alcohol and fruit made into a sauce, and then the pancakes are pre-fried in a pan and kept warm in the oven, or the crepes. This is especially a French style thing. And then they're re-warmed by having a pan of this sauce sort of just gently simmering on the stove, and you warm the pancake by dropping it in the sauce and just simmering it and turning it a couple of times just to warm it back through. Take it out, shake any excess sauce off, and then just roll it up straight away onto the plate.
Very nice. How often do you
That
make
sounds
them? How often do you make them?
Pancakes? I don't make them very often these days. It's just, to be honest, I like savoury pancakes these days. Sweet pancakes as a dessert or as a crepe, I haven't done for quite some time. I make them with the kids occasionally for things like Pancake Tuesday and stuff like that, you know, just because it's one of those fun things, you know, showing the kids up because I actually can flip a pancake, that kind of thing. I've had my fair share of picking them off the light fittings over the years.
I tell you what,
Like a great many things in life, the trick is all in the wrist action.
I know what I'm doing after the show now. Thanks. I tell you what, I don't eat pancakes very often, but when I do, they're really good. It's whether I make them at home or get them out.
The reason they've been around for so long is if you basically think about kind of the food evolution of man from taking a pointy stick and using it to bring down your first boar. After hunting, but before widespread cattle and animal agriculture, was cereal crop farming. And anyway, there are cereal.
If I can interrupt real quick, please.
Yeah.
Let's raise a glass to Gary. Thank you very much for 25 months of supporting the tavern here on Twitch.
Pepper Garden has subscribed for
And drinks of
25
that.
months in a
Cheers,
row.
Gary.
25 total. Yo, hello
Go on,
everyone.
Kevin.
Yeah, so anywhere you start producing cereal crop, you're going, you look for different ways to utilize that one crop to add variety to your diet. You
Right.
can make bread with a lot of cereal crops, but you've heard the phrase "man cannot live on bread alone." He can do, but it's a bloody boring diet. You know, if man doesn't mind bread if he can have bread and toast. But it's nice if you can throw in a few pancakes for breakfast, you know. So it was another way of utilizing the cereal crops that were around to create a different product, and something that was small, light, with a finished pancake. You know, there's something that's easy to wrap and fold and take portably with you, because you're looking at a populace that's still fairly mobile. You know, people aren't coming home and sitting down to long dinners. They're eating in the fields, eating, out in forests, on the move all the time. So the pancake was a way of not only creating something that was portable, but of using that as a wrapping to contain other foods, almost like parceling food up to take it on the road with you.
We all know who Aunt Jemima is, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, at one point in time, she was considered the first lady of pancake mix.
Mhm.
And,
I think
mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I did some reading up this morning, obviously, Jen, swatting up a little bit myself, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm right, Aunt Jemima, her first iteration of like a pan, I think it was marketed as pancake flour, but it was essentially like the first ever ready-made batter mix,
Correct.
was the first commercially produced, ready-made dried product.
Right. And it was the woman who played Aunt Jemima as the spokesperson for the mix in 1890 was actually a missionary worker named Nancy Green. And she played it until she died in 1923. And in 37, Quaker Oats, who had now owned the company, trademarked her as their, well, as their trademark. There we go.
So I knew about the pancake syrup, but I didn't know about the pancake mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's and they
Yeah,
called them
apparently
buckwheat
it's
cakes back then. They called them
Okay.
buckwheat cakes because the mix, as Kevin was mentioning, was buckwheat, corn, and wheat flour.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Now I'm hungry. So I don't know. I put it in the chat about like what's your favorite type of pancake,
Right.
and where is it at? There's one about potato cakes. Somebody
Potato
said something
pancakes,
about
yeah, the Polish
yeah.
Polazeski.
I didn't realize that was Polish, but oh, I remember my mom making potato pancakes out of leftover mashed potatoes. Oh, so good. I like those, and I also like them with like some apple butter.
Mm-hmm. Especially fresh
Oh
apple butter. Has anybody ever made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with pancakes?
no,
no,
Neither have I. Just checking.
no.
Asking for a friend.
no, but the night is young.
That's right. Kennedy, by the way, says that's why elves eat lembas bread in Tolkien. It's actually
Yeah.
a pancake.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I'm not a big pancake person. I like the middle out of it, but I don't like pancake crust. I like crepes with lingonberry butter. That's my favorite.
If your pancakes are crusty, you've done something horribly wrong.
I don't like the outside. I just like the soft middle that's full of butter.
It's going to be so much fun next time I cook her pancakes. She's like, "Can you cut the crust off my pancakes, please?"
Oh, I just eat the middle and then, you know.
You saying about potato pancakes, one of the nicest pancakes that I used to enjoy eating all the time, one of the fancy restaurants I used to work in as a base for a salmon dish, we used to do sweet potato and chili pancakes. Just literally you just take a sweet potato and put it whole without peeling it into a pan with just enough water to cover it and simmer it until you can just get a knife through it. Take it off the heat, let it cool in the water, refresh it under some cold water, and the skin will just peel off in big strips off the outside without the need for a peeler. Just take the flesh and just literally just mash the flesh up. So you've got a nice dry pulp. This is why you do it and you boil it inside the skin, because you don't want to get too much moisture into the tissue of the sweet potato, make it too wet, too pulpy. Although if you do, you can always put it in a tea towel, give it a quick squeeze to wring it out. But you wait till you get this nice sort of nice firm sweet potato flesh that's nicely mashed and pulped, and just mix that with some American style baking powder style pancake batter mix, a little bit of freshly chopped red chili, maybe a little bit of shredded spring onion, and then just fry those off. And we used to just do them in small batches of 4 or 5, and then just build them up into a little tower with the salmon fillet on the top. Absolutely lovely. They're to die for, and they're just the nicest thing in the world. It's about 40-60, so 40% sweet potato flesh and 60% batter mix as a rough proportion when you mix the two together.
Talking about building them into a tower, if I remember correctly, in Star Wars A New Hope, Episode 4, the tower on the moon of Yavin was actually made of those.
Pancakes?
The sweet potato.
Once a pro.
Yeah.
Nice.
And often the Spanish tiles on roofs in Florida are made of the same thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes pancakes great. They're one of those, not bland, but sort of universally adaptable. They'll take on the flavor of anything else you add to them that gives them flavor.
Sweet potatoes?
Yeah, I mean, your sweet potato there is a great example of how you can use one for a main course, and then, but I mean, I'm always a sucker for a couple of crepes with Nutella between them.
Yeah, Nutella's pretty good.
It's okay.
Yeah, you get that a lot. You get that's quite a big thing in France, quite a common thing to see as a snack or a dessert in cafes and restaurants. The crepe with Nutella. So.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of comments here in chat. Kennedy, apparently talking through his stomach, says, "I love pancakes and real maple syrup." He also says, and we also call spring onions scallions in the U.S., but he's confused Aussies and Brits. Then he said, craps. Crepes. I'm sorry. My bad. It's,
So, by the way, if anyone's never made a crepe rather than an American pancake, the batter mix is the simplest thing in the world. It's just 3 ingredients, or 4, because I like to add a pinch of salt, but that's optional depending on what you're doing with it. But it's just the thing to remember is 1, 2, 3, 100 grams of plain flour, 2 eggs, 300 ml of milk. 1, 2, 3.
300 what?
300 milliliters of milk.
Oh. I'm sorry, we don't know how to use grams, and I mean, unless we're selling Coke, and milliliters are just confused. We got liters down because they have soda in them, but milliliters, we just don't know what we're doing.
Just think of the milliliters. It's like the wet form of milligrams in your edibles.
Yeah, did I mention the gram
We have
thing?
measuring cups with milliliters on it. Just because some of the recipes I've been using, that's what they are.
Okay, yeah. Milliliters or whatever strange variant of measuring you Americans made up and created a grand name for yourselves, you know.
You know what, Kevin? You guys over there are still using fucking standard miles and feet and inches, but you've gone to metric for cooking? What kind of half-assed measure is that? No pun intended.
It's the deliberately dichotomic nature of British culture that we refuse to accept the new and still not retain the old as well. So only the British are the only nation in the world who find it actually perfectly logical to be using both imperial and metric measuring systems alongside each other simultaneously, and often within the same calculation.
Well, I remember when I was in 3rd grade, and it's like, oh, we have to learn the metrics because that's what they're all going to be now, soon. Yeah, when is that going to happen?
Yep, we're still waiting.
Don't knock it. There's a whole generation of British teenagers who grew up automatically knowing that there are 3.5 grams in an eighth of an ounce. So,
yeah, the kids in the bad neighborhoods apparently. No, Kevin.
Oh no, they don't get as far as complex equations like that. They deal in single grams.
This is a topic shift here. I recently got an Instapot. Are you familiar with these things?
Like a pot noodle kind of thing, yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. What do you?
If a pressure cooker and a crock pot got drunk and rolled around outside the bar, this is what would have been produced 9 months later.
All right. Okay. So, explain to me what's the difference between whatever the hell this thing is and a slow cooker?
I can do that. Okay. I like to use a slow cooker and start stuff the night before and have it cook all day. I come home, dinner's ready. This, no, it will not do it. It takes 28 minutes. That's not right.
To answer your question, it's the newfangled pressure cooker is what it is. It can do everything a slow cooker can, but in 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
So we've got one of these. Now, I love my air fryer, but we got this, And yeah, the first time I used it, I went to make chili, and I'm like, oh, this, what am I doing? What am I doing? Looking at the instructions, I'm expecting it because I thought it did what a slow cooker does, like a slow cooker does it. My mistake there. Eventually, I realized no, you've got to put it on the pressure cooking, and yeah, it was like 22 minutes later. I have chili that tastes like it cooked for 8 hours.
Yeah.
It was fascinating.
See, that's what I was going to ask. Do you still get? Do you find? I don't know how much you've used this thing. Do you still find you get the same richness of flavor? Because my query would not be whether scientifically you can't get the same softness of texture, for example, but if you haven't got those flavors infusing together for that prolonged period of time, even if those
better,
well, yeah, it works really well. But you cannot use it as a slow cooker. This is for anybody that's like me, that's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to read directions. For 2 days, I tried to make a stew like a slow cooker.
Then she went to work, and I put it on the pressure cook feature.
12 minutes later.
Yeah. No, this is one of those things you can actually... I made hard-boiled eggs in it using the 5-5-5 method. You're familiar with that, Kevin?
5-5-5.
Basically, in this, it's 5 minutes in the pressure cook, 5 minutes with the slow venting as opposed to the fast venting, and then 5 minutes in an ice bath. And then when you crack those shells, the shells just come right off. I made a chili, she made her soup, and I made frozen corn on the cob, because it's what we had in the house. It was 5 minutes in the pressure cooker. Things like green beans, if you want them still kind of crisp, it is literally 1 minute in the pressure cooker. Or if you want them like mushy, like they're, out of a can and cooked and boiled for an hour, so they're...
That's what I like.
That's like 5 minutes. Now, here's the trick to that. The cook time is 1 minute or 5 minutes. The pressurizing time is 20 minutes. Depending how full it is and what you have in it and the density. Kennedy mentioned crock pots. Andrea and I love crock pots. The slow cooker crock pot, same thing.
Used it forever.
The Instapot is doing the same thing a slow cooker does, but in a literal minimal amount of time. I went and made a beef roast in it in like a half hour. Now that doesn't count the cutting and the chopping and the pressurizing time, but the cooking time itself. And Kevin, this is what I was telling you. It seemed, because it's pressurized, to spread that flavor and push it into things better than just stewing it 8 hours, which is weird in my head and shouldn't have worked. Oh, by the way, yes, Kennedy mentioned rice. You could cook rice in it. You can make yogurt in it. They have settings.
We buy like 20 pounds of rice at a time.
We do. And then we won't eat it for 3 months, and then a month later, we're out of it.
Oh,
and
God.
We're like, what the fuck just happened? You know my favorite way to cook rice?
Huh.
Oh, Andrea knows it. This is not a joke. I see she's grinning like she's waiting for some dumbass thing I'm about to say.
Oh. Well, never mind.
Kevin, we have these little packs of Sazon seasoning. It's a Mexican food seasoning that, like, even the Mexican restaurant that I worked at, run by Mexicans, uses stuff in their rice. So I went, okay, well, they're fucking using it. I'll use it.
It's the orange stuff.
Yeah. It's basically cumin, coriander, and salt. I don't know. It's paprika.
Yeah.
And orange.
I like to put that in my rice cooker. 1 packet of that, and about 4 tablespoons of butter. Actually, I like to put 6 tablespoons, but I'm reluctant to take my 8 tablespoon stick of butter and cut and put 2 back in the... I'm like, fuck.
So he uses a whole stick of butter.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Bren just said you can't go wrong with a whole lot of butter. Thank you, Martha Stewart. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Not Martha Stewart, the other one.
Paula Dean.
Paula Dean? Is it Paula Dean, or is it Hello.
No, it was Paula Deen because she's got the heart disease from all the butter.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, by the way, Kennedy says rice cookers are great since I'm going to be a bachelor soon. May need an instant pot. I may need to make paella soon. Oh God, paella is one of the.
Paella.
I think he just.
Isn't
It
it
is.
pronounced paella?
Probably,
Mm-hmm.
but not when I say it. Listen.
It's spelled not the way you say it.
And Brenda's in denial about weren't not butter giving her heart disease.
2 sticks of butter and everything.
That's a hell of a date, ain't it? There's 2
Well,
sticks
I
in
don't know, ask her
dinner, 2
husband.
sticks in dessert, and then 2 sticks in her. If you know what I mean. Or him, really. Pick your flavor of choice.
See, I was right. It's paella.
I know, 2 people have backed you up. 3 if you count me that said it before they did.
I still don't know what it is. Is it squid? What the hell is it?
Okay. Kevin, do you know what?
It can have squid. It can have squid in. More often, it's shellfish. It's mussels and prawns normally.
Don't you remember that
No
Adam
wonder I've never
Sandler
had it.
movie? Or what movie was it where the houseboy
Wine
was...
Country.
What was it? Wine Country?
Wine Country.
Yeah, where
oh,
he
I
was like-
love that movie.
It was like the first time he used an Instapot or something. Where he didn't realize he needed to pressurize it. And it's 3 days over a lukewarm flame.
And he hunted the squid, and oh my god, it was so horrible. Great movie.
The mighty squid. The wily squid.
Yeah. Okay, Kennedy says Kevin should know the 2 fat ladies.
Yes, I do. Although there is now only one fat lady.
That's right. Julie's dead.
Oh. Did the other one eat her?
Here's,
I'm sorry.
With 2 sticks of butter, baby.
here's to the one fat lady.
Here, here.
She's twice the woman she used to be after that meal.
And I'm not sure where you would go to track it down outside of the UK, but if you want to see some Northern England roving chefs at their finest, see if you can find the hairy bikers on tour.
You said hairy bikers on tour?
I did say the hairy bikers on tour, yes. Be very careful what you look for if you do Google that.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Might be best to preface that with the words cooking show first.
Oh, it's a cooking show. I thought it was porn. All right.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, sorry. Andrea's interest suddenly Dwayne's. Oh, it's a cooking show, damn it.
Real quick, Gary would like to know what you're drinking, Kevin.
Oh, it's a Malbec. Bear with me. I'm favouring Malbecs these days. I used to drink a lot of Rioja, but I find the tannin in it is a bit OTT for my palate these days, so I've switched to Malbec. It's a Camino del Angel. It's a Chilean Malbec.
Oh.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Michael Lawrence, who just joined us. And to answer your question, we're about to just flip right back to the pancake.
Oh, I see what you did there.
We got pulled away by, what was it we were doing? Oh, Instapots dragged us away. So, what, Andrea?
Okay. Okay. Harry Biker's Food Tour of Britain. It's available on Tubi. Tubi. That it's a free.
There you go.
Tubby? Is it
Tubby.
Tubby?
If you ever watched the Hairy Bikers, that's incredibly amusing.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. That looks interesting.
Yeah, just give one a go. Yeah,
And what's it called again?
the Hairy Bikers.
On tour.
That particular
Britain.
one, yeah.
Harry Biker.
There's a few. They've done a few different series now. Yeah.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this, guys. I want to talk about favorite memory that relates to pancakes or breakfast food if you must branch out. And also, where do you go for pancakes? Where's your favorite place? And you could talk about if it's home, what kind of recipe you like to use specifically. If it's out or both, where do you go and why? Andrea, where's your favorite place to go for pancakes? Because I know you don't cook them much.
Well, I don't. I can't. I don't like to because I used to have a job cooking pancakes all the time.
Interrupt real quick. Sorry. Real quick, thank you there to Michael J. Lawrence for subscribing and supporting that channel. That allows him to interact during the live recording of the podcast. Welcome to the Tavern as a regular. I appreciate that. Andrea, what were you saying there?
I can cook pancakes. I don't like to because I used to have a job doing that every morning. Pancakes. My favorite pancakes are ones other people make. I have to say IHOP, International House of Pancakes, is pretty good because they make the crepes with the lingonberry butter, and that's my favorite.
Now, what are crepes again? Aren't they just pretty much a really thin fried egg?
No, it's okay. So yes, the difference between a crepe batter and an American batter is that crepe batter has egg in. But they're not a light fluffy pancake. They're a very thin pancake, so it's a medium heat, and you put very, very little oil in. In fact, I don't even put oil in the pan per se. What I tend to do when I'm cooking pancakes is have a little bit of folded up kitchen paper and just tip a little bit of oil onto it and just wipe the pan. It's literally just enough to stop it sticking for those first few seconds. Medium heat, very thin coating of the batter, about 45 to 60 seconds, just enough to seal and brown that one side, and then flip it if you're adventurous, fold it over with a spatula if you're not. 30 seconds on the other side, turned out onto a plate, done, and either eat it instantly or stack them up warm, keep them warm till you're finished cooking. They're normally drizzled with, either you can spread jam on them, but they're quite often drizzled with things like lemon juice sprinkled with sugar, and then they're rolled up and often cut and eaten in small bites.
No.
I like mine folded. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea,
the other way's good.
I want to hear how you like them. That's actually where I was going, but a couple of quick comments. Kennedy asked what is kitchen paper, and Michael Lawrence confirmed wax paper. And Michael also says that these are great with strawberries and cottage cheese, the traditional kind of blintz situation in the U.S. Andrea, what's your favorite way? Well, with this,
I like to fold them.
Yeah.
With the crepes, I like to fold them up, so it's like a little stack of pancake because I don't like the big. That's too much bread, and just like have butter, have the butter smeared in between the flaps.
Let's give a real quick hello, because as you're talking about spreading on the flaps. Pickle Lady just popped in.
Hi, Pickle Lady. Hi,
Hey. Hi, Elizabeth.
With her cock. Kevin's cock, as the case used to be.
Well, you see, I'm on the show tonight, so someone has to play with my cock for me.
It's actually, I played it. I think it summoned her.
It did.
So a couple of things. You could put brown sugar and cinnamon, maybe. Yeah, Michael, that's reasonable. Kennedy says classic diner, and the food comes so fast. Kevin, what about you? As a chef, we know you're not picky. You're just happy somebody else is fucking cooking. Where do you go when you want pancakes, and what's your favorite kind?
See, I can't remember the last time I ate a pancake out somewhere. Because pancakes, especially for breakfast, I mean, they're not a traditional British thing. It's very much seen as an Americanism. It's not really a big thing that you see served in a lot of places. You might find the occasional place that does them on a breakfast menu, but 9 times out of 10, if they're not making their own homemade crepes, like European-style pancakes, what you're getting is American-style pancakes out of a packet.
Wait, like pre-cooked and just heated?
Pre-cooked and heated, yes. Very few places make pancakes. It's not a big thing the way it is in America, in this country. So most people's experience of pancakes outside of Shrove Tuesday and, you know, the one day a year where your parents have a giggle, throwing pancake batter all over the kitchen as everyone tries to make their own pancakes at home. It's not a huge thing, and generally, by and large, 90% of British people who've experienced American-style pancakes have experienced them as a pre-made product rather than something freshly cooked.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't like pancakes in the morning. I like them at night. I don't think that should be what you wake up and have for breakfast.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see them being a good breakfast item in the sense that you're carb loading. It's going to be a slow release, slow burner. You're filling yourself up by giving yourself something substantial in the morning, so that's going to cut down on morning cravings for crappy snacks.
No, because it immediately puts you right back to sleep on the couch.
That's why I like them at night.
A couple of comments here. Michael would like a confirmation here with crepes are the norm in the UK then, and Kennedy says, I did once pound cake, patty cake, nice gal, big in the right places. A weird one actually just nommed some cinnamon apple pancakes for dinner, and this is actually something I wanted to go towards. Kevin, do you want to clarify that crepes is the norm in the UK? You want to clarify that?
Yeah. So if you talk to a British person and you say pancake, a thin crepe is what we're thinking of, not a pancake, as you Americans would immediately think of the lighter, fluffier, more risen version.
Well, here's something else. You know how you think of a biscuit as something different? We think of biscuit kind of dry, perhaps savory. You think of it as a sweet, what we call a cookie, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of when somebody says they just floated an air biscuit?
They farted.
But it smells sweet like a cookie.
Well, you speak for yourself, mate. You're clearly not sat downwind of me during lockdown.
Oh, I have stories, but maybe I shouldn't share that.
Why not?
Okay, I was at work, I guess it was yesterday, and somebody crop dusted right where I was walking into at work. It triggered my asthma. That's assault. Oh my God.
I know what you mean. I manage a hotel, and we have a lift, and it's right by reception. And one of our elderly gentlemen dropped his guts in the lift on the way down to breakfast the other morning. And every time another customer came down in that lift, as the doors opened, there was a waft of old man arse for about 3 hours afterwards.
3 hours? Oh my God.
It was horrendous. It's like there was a small fog of it hiding in the air vent in the lift somewhere, and every time the doors open.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry.
You sure you didn't like shit inside that little phone case on the side of the elevator?
You never know.
Sorry, that'd be below my pay grade to check.
Nice. It's hard to go back to pancakes after that. See, I've never been a fan of pancakes with things in them. Though a nice like banana pancake, but even like chocolate chip pancakes as a kid, you love them because it's got chocolate chips.
No.
As an adult, not so much. I kind of want just pancakes. I want the syrup to be the seasoning, the sauce, the gravy. Syrup is pancake gravy. Think about that.
So, do you prefer like regular pancakes, buttermilk pancakes? What is your go-to pancake?
Me?
Yeah.
Whatever somebody puts in front of me. But I don't know the difference in flavor between buttermilk, regular, wheat, buckwheat, fish butt. I don't know.
See, going back to what you just said as well about the difference between, for example, pouring a sauce like your traditional sort of maple syrup or something over pancakes, as opposed to having something in them. It's a textural difference as well. You got to bear in mind you're talking about a thicker pancake. So in Europe, when you're talking about a very thin, almost paper thin crepe, you take one of those, spread it with Nutella chocolate spread, add a second crepe on top, and then fold it in half. And then in half, and then in half again. So you end up with like a pizza-shaped triangle, and you get that wonderful layering of pancake and chocolate. So when you cut through that with a fork, with something like a little bit of whipped cream on the side, it becomes almost like a layered dessert.
Yeah, that's why you have them at night, not in the morning.
Here's a quick thing. I used to work at IHOP, International House of Pancakes, for anybody who doesn't realize what that is. And one trick I would use in my omelets is when you grabbed, the 3 ladlefuls of egg mix to make your omelet, if you took like a half squirt of pancake mix and put it in there, whipped it up, your omelet went from this thick to this thick. And this is a great trick if you're making eggs and pancakes at home, to take a little bit of your pancake batter, just about a teaspoon to 2 eggs, maybe a tablespoon for, if you're doing a larger omelet, and mixing it in with that. It really helps that omelet just fluff up and rise. Doesn't change your flavor at all, but it's a nice trick for a visual plate.
Here you go. All right. So same visual trick. If you don't happen to have a ladle full of pancake mix handy and you want a nice big fluffy omelette like that, you double cook it. You don't just cook it on the hob. You have your grill preheated hot first. Start your omelette off in the pan on the hob, and then once the base of your omelette is sealed, transfer it under a hot grill with heat from above. So you've still got the residual heat in the pan from below from the hob, but you're also hitting it with fierce heat from above as well. And it causes a chemical reaction in the albumin, the white part of the egg, which is what causes the egg to expand the same way it does in baking. And your omelette will lift and fluff much more than if you just cook it on the hob from underneath.
If I can, real quick, Elizabeth has chimed in with pancake batter and a bit of rum in your eggs help immensely. I don't think it helps with the pancakes or the eggs. I think it just helps you.
I'd be more inclined to just use the pancake batter and then use the rum as a sauce. And by sauce, I mean drink it.
Yeah. See, that's a good sauce. I like being sauced. I'll drink to being sauced that way. There we go.
It's quite, like I said earlier, and it's quite a common French thing. Just literally use a small reduction of alcohol, something like a brandy or an orange liqueur like Grand Marnier or Cointreau, and then just a little bit of sugar into that, and literally just reduce that down into kind of like a little simmering sugar syrup almost. That's the nice thing about crepe as well. When you roll it or fold it, it becomes something that you can pick up. It becomes like almost like a tactile finger food, much more than an American pancake does. So you can dip it into sauces and stuff. Coffee is another thing you sometimes see in certain places around Europe as well. People will roll a crepe up and cut it in half, and then take the open cut end and dip it into an Americano or something.
I'm going to read a couple comments, and we're going to get to the wrap-up. There's another mention of potato pancakes and the love of them. Weird Wind says, I mix the eggs and drop them in a freezer baggie. Boil the baggie and it cooks the eggs perfectly inside. Note, he said freezer baggie, the thicker one. Kennedy says he also does, as you mentioned, Kevin, finish the omelets under the broiler. And let's see, dippers unite. It's just not double dippers. Not with COVID, no uniting.
You speak for yourself, Sunshine.
Is that when I'm walking on Sunshine? And Weird One says, I like to fold a pancake and put fresh fruit in it like a taco, like a fruity taco. That actually sounds pretty good. Yeah, I think we need more pancake tacos in this world.
So,
yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
All right, Kevin. I know how you feel about the French. So, do you hate the crepes like you hate the French, or is that the exception?
No, it's by no means an exception. Let me be, as I have stated many times in the past, I'd like to be clear on this. There are a great many things in both the French cuisine and their culture in general, which are incredibly admirable and should be held up as world standards of excellence. It's just the people.
Okay.
I would say kind of like New Yorkers, but we've got a handful of them in chat, and they will come find my ass. Correct me. Okay, let's do some wrap-up thoughts for this topic here. So, Andrea, any closing thoughts on this?
Viva la crepes.
Very good.
That is all.
Well spoken. Elizabeth's closing thoughts. Apparently, pancakes and ass, a new combination. Kevin, do you have some closing thoughts on this?
Pancakes and ass should both be thinly spread and are both enjoyable when covered in chocolate spread.
Not
Oh
chocolate
God, I
with
hope
the
it's
ass.
chocolate.
You can't tell when to stop licking if it's chocolate. Anyhow.
It's a
Not
snack that
judging.
keeps on giving.
Okay, so, okay. Nutella. Anyhow, right. There's a lot of history to pancakes, folks. They've been around for over 5,000 years. And check out all kinds of different cultures with the way they do it. Pizza is the same way, but we're talking about pancakes tonight. If you go to the International House of Pancakes, don't let them fool you. They don't know what a passport is. We've heard the comedian that talks about that.
Chad Daniels.
I want to make sure in our closing here that we do a few things. First of all, don't forget that you can always email us, and I'm going to go check that email right this second to see if anybody sent an email. And you can email us and talk about your thoughts on the episode you just heard of the podcast or anything like that. And that email is talkofthetavernshow@gmail.com. Nothing in the mailbag today. We do have a couple birthdays we'd like to announce, and also a couple of passings in our world we definitely had some adoration for. The only birthday I know of is mine is Friday the 13th. Well done.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. And the people we've had pass in our little nerdy world, we lost Sean Connery about a week ago, a little more, and Alex Trebek just a day or two ago. So, they've created a drinking game in chat, by the way, folks. If you launch an emote and it lands on my face, you have to take a drink. So, yeah, there we go. I do also want to remind you to join us for our next show, which will be Judging Inks and Mods. Judging Inks and Mods. And I want to thank everybody for supporting us here on Talk of the Tavern as well as the other podcasts. And you can find all the podcasts if you go to bit.ly/Travis Podcasts. That's bit.ly/Travis Podcasts. Other than that, thank you guys for all the bits and subscriptions, hosts and raids, merchandise and subs tonight. Specifically Gary and Michael, thank you for those subs tonight. Much appreciated. And also want to make sure I throw a thank you out there to the folks who support us on Patreon and patronize us that way. Patronize us at... I can't decide what. Triple U and Ethan Strauss, as well as Berta and Musical Wizardry, who have subscribed via PayPal with our monthly service there. Thought I just heard my phone go off, but it's not in here. So...
No, that was mine.
Okay, that was hers. We're going to raise a glass to you guys. Thank you for everything. Make sure you join us again. And, yeah, here's to you. Let's get a closing toast here. Cogsley, what do you got for us, buddy? You got anything good? Let's see what Cogsley said. Not... Okay, well, Cogsley's like, spell it right, asshole, and I'll tell you. There we go. Groucho Marx again with the quote of, I was married by a judge. I should have asked for a jury. There we go. Let's get some outro music. And we will catch you on the next show. There it is.
Thanks for joining us in the discussion shenanigans tonight. You are the one thing that makes the show what it is. Don't forget to join us at the tavern next week. Until then, have fun, keep learning, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good cheer. Enjoy the small moments every day and steamy dreams every night.